Okay, I'm going to start with the approach. I'm going to check any kind of leaks. There's no motor oil leaks, no transmission oil leaks. Next check, the 5 clearance lights. They are properly mounted and secure. They're not cracked, not broken. Proper color amber, and all screws present and tight. Next check, signal lights, emergency lights and reflectors. They are properly mounted and secure. They're not cracked, not broken, and they have proper color amber. Next check, headlights, low beam and high beams. They are properly mounted and secure. They're not cracked, not broken. Now I'm going to check the engine. Next check, the bell-driven alternator. It is properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, not broken. Nuts and bolts are present and tight. The cables are well connected. There's no cuts, no wire exposed. The belt, it is properly mounted. There's no cuts, no abrasions, and it is tight. I have to make sure there's no more than 3/4 of an inch of free play. Next check, the bell-driven water pump. It is properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, it's not broken. There's no leaks. And the belt, it is the same as the alternator. Okay, let's move to the other side. Alright, next check, the coolant container. It is properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, it's not broken. All nuts and bolts present. The cap is present and hand tight. It is filled to proper level and there's no leaks. Next check, all the coolant hoses, they're properly mounted. There's no cuts, no air bubbles, no abrasions, and no coolant leaks. Next check, the gear drive air compressor. It is properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, not broken. All nuts and bolts present. All air lines are well connected and there's no air leaks. Next check, the motor oil dipstick and transmission oil dipstick. Both are properly mounted and secure. They're not cracked, not broken. And if I want to check the engine oil, I need to take the stick out, clean it, reinsert it, take it out again, and I have to make sure the level is okay. To check transmission motor oil, it is the same way, but engine must be running. Alright, next check, power steering system. So this is my power steering oil container. It is properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, not broken. Nuts and bolts present. Cap is present. Also, it is filled to proper level and there's no leaks. Next check is all my steering oil hoses. They're properly mounted and secure. There's no cuts, no air bubbles, and no abrasions. Clamps present and no leaks. No oil leaks. Next check, the gear driven power steering pump. It is properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, it's not broken. Nuts and bolts are present and there's no leaks. And next check, the steering column and my U-joints. They're properly mounted and secure, not cracked, bent, or broken. There's no more than 2 inches of free play. And the U-joints, they have to be well greased. Next check, the gearbox. It is properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. Nuts and bolts are present. There's no leaks. Next check, pit main arm, drag link, upper knuckle and lower knuckle, and tie rod. These pieces are properly mounted and secure. They're not cracked, not broken, and all the castle nuts and quarter pins are present and tight. Next check, the suspension system. This here is my leaf spring mount or hanger. I have one in the front and I have one more in the back, and they are properly mounted and secure, not cracked, bent or broken, and nuts and bolts are present and tight. Next check, leaf springs. They're properly mounted and secure. They're not cracked, not bent, not broken. Next check, my U-bolts. They're properly mounted and secure. They're not cracked, not broken, and all the U-bolt nuts are present and tight. Next check is the front axle. It is properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, not bent, not broken. Next check is the shock absorber and the shock absorber mounts. They're properly mounted and secure, not cracked, bent, or broken. Nuts and bolts are present, and shock absorber is not leaking. Now I'm gonna check the brake system. This here is my air hose. It is properly connected. There's no cuts, air bubbles, or abrasions, and it's not leaking. Next check is the brake chamber. Brake chamber, it is properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, not broken. Nuts and bolts are present, and there's no air leaks. Next check, the push rod and slack adjuster. They are properly mounted and secure, not cracked, bent, or broken. The pins are present. And to check the play, the brakes, they need to be released, and if I pull it with by hand, should not play more than 1 inch. Next check, the brake ramp. It is properly mounted and secure, not cracked, bent, or broken. Next check is the brake shoes. They are properly mounted and secure. They're not cracked, not broken, and the brake material is no less than 1/4 inch. And also there's no oil, debris, or grease. Okay, next check is the front tire. There's no cuts, air bubbles, or abrasions, and the tread depth is no less than 432 seconds, and you have to make sure it is properly inflated according to the manufacturer specifications. To check that with our air gauge, we can check that with here with the ball of steam, and this one, it is properly mounted and secure, not cracked, bent, or broken, and it's not leaking. Next check is the rim. It is properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken, and is not welded. Next check, my 10 lug nuts. All of them are properly mounted and secure, not cracked, not broken, and there's nothing around indicating looseness. No rust. All of them are present and tight. Next check is the oil hub seal. It is properly mounted and secure, not cracked, not broken, nuts and bolts present, and there's no leaks. And also I have to make sure the level is okay. Okay, that's the end of the letter A.